Yeah, I'll just give it another minute. This is important that everyone comes. So then I'll get started with the prayers. Okay. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। मुखं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं कृष्णचैतन्यमीश्वरम्। नमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे हरे. My humble obeisances to all the Vaishnavas on the call. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. We are in chapter 9 of Canto 2. This chapter is titled Answers by Citing the Lord Version. So, in the beginning of this chapter, in the first 3 verses, we see how there is an answer given by Brahma to Narada, and this answer is about the Jiva having a material body. How the Jiva identifies with the material body. So why is Brahma and Narada Samvad coming here? Brahma Narada Samvad came because of the questions that were asked by Parikshit Maharaj. Right? So because of Parikshit Maharaj's question, the Brahma Narada Samvad had actually come into place. But Parikshit Maharaj, he had a set of questions in the previous chapter. He had like more than how many questions? He had like several, almost like 20 plus questions in the previous chapter. So for all these questions, Shukadeva Goswami, now he begins to answer these questions. So Parikshit's first question was about the jiva having a material body. For that, in 21. 24. In the first 3 verses, we see how the answer is given that this jiva has an unreal relationship with the body, and afflicted by Maya, he thinks his body to be everything. Okay, so that is the first discussion that happens. Next, he talks about how Brahma, when he was created, he could not find the source of his creation. Right? He talks about the story of Brahma because Brahma also got all this knowledge in the beginning of creation. Okay, so how did Brahma get all this knowledge? That is described. In the beginning of creation, the Lord, he presented his transcendental form in front of Brahma. Why did he present his transcendental form in front of Brahma? Because Brahma, when he was created, he was very, very confused and he was trying to find the source of his creation. So that time he hears the word tapa tapa. And hearing that, he underwent a lot of penances. So now that he had undergone a lot of penances, as a fruit of what he had undergone, the Lord showed him Vaikuntha. So we saw a great description of the inhabitants of Vaikuntha. We saw how the Vaikuntha planet is, how Mother Lakshmi is engaged in massaging the Lord's feet. We saw the beautiful description of the Lord's glorious form, the description of Vaikuntha, how there is this throne on which the Lord is sitting and he's surrounded by the different energies and so on. So now that all this was revealed to Brahma, Brahma was very, very overwhelmed with the joy, right? So Brahma, now that he was extremely pleased, seeing the form of the Lord, and the Lord was also pleased with Brahma's penances, the Lord asked Brahma to ask for benediction. So he says, please ask for a benediction. He goes, he gives a shake hand. You remember all this? So he shakes his hand with Brahma and then he says, you have seen the highest of all perfections, that is seeing the spiritual world. And now you please take a benediction from me. So that is when the chaturshloki is about to begin. But we have to reopen verse number 31. Okay. This verse is very important because this is when Bhagavan begins to speak. This is verse number 31. And actually, as soon as Brahma takes benedictions, Brahma asks some questions to the Lord. He tells me about the material and spiritual forms of the Lord. Actually, Lord has no material form. But then he asks, I want to know about the various forms of the Lord. He asks about the Lord's energies, and then he asks about the Lord's activities, and then he asks the Lord to bestow his mercy on him. So these are the different questions that Brahma is asking to the Lord after he gets congratulated by the Lord, right? So we have seen till there. So this is just a quick recap of what we have seen. Initially, we saw there was Brahma Narada Samvad, and then we saw how Parikshit Maharaj had further questions, and then in answer to the further questions, he begins answering, and there he wants to quote the story of Brahma's finding out who he is, and then how Brahma heard this tapa. He started to perform tapas, and then after he performed tapas for many, many years, 1,000 Divya Yugas, almost 1,000, not in Divya, 1,000 Divya years. So after all that, he gets the darshan of the Lord. He's very happy. He's asking for benedictions, and then he asks for questions. He asks about the Lord, his spiritual form, his different energies, his activities, and he begs for the Lord's service. So we have come so far. But then verse number 31 is very crucial. Okay, this Mataji is already covered. I have to start from verse number 32 today. But 31 is crucial. So I will read that verse again because that is the foundation of the Chaturshloki verses. So we have Sri Bhagavanuvacha Jnanam Paramaguhyam me Tad Vijnana Samanvitam Sarahasyam Tad Angam Cha Grihana Gaditam Maya. What was the meaning of this? The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, knowledge. This word is important, Jnanam. Knowledge about me is described in the scriptures and it is very confidential. So, knowledge described about me in the scriptures is very confidential. And how should it be realized? It has to be realized in conjunction with devotional service. The necessary paraphernalia for that process is being explained by me, and you have to take it up carefully. So, there are four parts to this. One is jnanam. Jnanam is knowledge. Vijnanam, realization. So, what is the first one? Jnanam. What is the second one? Vijnanam. What is the third one that is important in this verse? Sarahasyam. That Sarahasyam is translated here as with devotional service. And Tadangam. Tadangam is necessary paraphernalia. So remember these four words. The first one is Jnanam, the most secret knowledge. Vijnanam is realization of that secret knowledge. Sarahasyam. Actually, Sarahasyam, though it is mentioned as devotional service, it is the perfection of devotional service, which is the greatest of all secrets about devotional service. It is Prema Bhakti. Okay, so that Sa Rahasyam, remember, it is equivalent to Prema Bhakti. And Tadangam is actually the sadhana bhakti that you are doing. Necessary paraphernalia means what? You're engaged in sadhana bhakti. So, what all should you know from actually these four that is mentioned in verse number 31 comprises the contents of Chaturshloki. Okay, we are going to see the Chaturshloki very soon. But what are the four components of Chaturshloki? The first Chaturshloki is going to talk about Jnanam, knowledge about Krishna. The second Chaturshloki is going to talk about Vijnanam. What is Vijnanam? Realized knowledge about Krishna. The third Chaturshloki is going to talk about Sarahasyam. Yeah, it is going to talk about Sa Rahasyam. And what is that Rahasyam? I told you, Rahasya means secret. What is the secret of all secrets? The greatest of all bhakti, which is Prema Bhakti. That is the greatest of all secrets. And the fourth Chaturshloki is going to talk about Tad Angam. Tad Angam means the paraphernalia or what are its components, parts. So to achieve Prema Bhakti, what should you do? You should do sadhana bhakti, right? Then only you will get prema bhakti. So you start with some sort of a sadhana, whether it is Vaidhi sadhana or Raganuga sadhana is a different explanation, but you have to do some sadhana, right? So that Tadangam, the fourth Chaturshloki is talking about sadhana bhakti. So these are the four important components that we are going to discuss. The subject matter of these four together is called as the Bhagavata Chaturshloki, which is very philosophical and it is the foundation of understanding our philosophy. So it is extremely important. Okay. So what are the four? Can someone repeat the four, please? We should memorize this. Memorize this means we should know this in and out. And today we will go super slow. I want everybody to read every paragraph aloud and then discuss every paragraph in detail because that is the best way to understand what is being told in the Chaturshloki. If I just give a lecture, everyone will sleep. It's going to be boring. So we are going to read every word of what Prabhupada has written and then I will summarize it after every paragraph and we'll connect the four verses with each other and understand every word of it. Okay. So because Chaturshloki cannot be just summarized, we have to know it in and out. So what are the four components, Madhurya Mai Keshavi Mataji?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Pranam, Jai Shri Prabhupada. So first is Jnanam, which is
Hmm.
knowledge about Supreme Lord.
Hmm.
Then Vijnanam, which is the realized knowledge. And
Hmm.
then Sarahasyam.
Hmm.
Sarahasyam is about Prema Bhakti because that's the biggest secret of amongst all the Bhakti marks. And then Tad Angam is the Sadhana Bhakti.
Very bold, beautiful, very, very nice. Okay, so now Mataji has already covered this, and you all know what this is. Okay, we are not going to get into details because I have to start with verse number 32. So now Krishna has begun speaking, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead has started speaking, and he's told about these four components. But in verse number two, or the, I mean, not verse number two, in verse number 32, he's going to tell us that if you want to understand all this, you want to understand about me, you want to understand about my form, my qualities, my pastimes. How will you understand all this? See, theory we all can speak. Even Krishna can speak theory. But then if we have to understand everything Krishna is revealing, how can we understand? We are insignificant. Brahma is also a jiva like us. So Krishna is telling, okay, I will reveal everything to you. But if you have to understand, how will you understand it? Astu te mat anugrahat, by my mercy. This is very important. Without Krishna's mercy, whatever we read, it's useless, right? Nothing will get into our head. Sometimes we think you have to be a big scholar to understand Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, or you should have read Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam 20 times to understand what is being told. Sometimes we may say, okay, you should be a big, should give hundreds of classes to understand what Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam is telling. Actually, all that is meaningless. You know what is most important for us to understand Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam? Krishna's anugraha, his mercy. Even the foolish of the foolish can understand Bhagavad Gita if Krishna decides to give mercy unto him. right? So without Krishna's mercy, no one can understand anything. We may read the same purports again and again, but nothing will get into our head. There'll be no appreciation, or we might just be dry scholars. What is the point of all that? That bhakti will not awaken in our hearts. For all this to happen, you need one quality, one secret ingredient, which is Krishna's anugraha. How are we going to attract that anugraha? It is by putting efforts. Of course, we have to put in efforts. When we put in efforts, that is when, of course, I won't say that is when Krishna gives anugraha, because Krishna's mercy is causeless. Okay, it's not proportional to the effort you put on something. We put in effort, that's all. That is all we do. But Krishna giving his mercy, he is an independent autocrat. If he wants to give mercy, he will give. But then he definitely sees what he does. It's not that he's blind. He's not watching. He's not noticing. It's, in love, there is reciprocation, right? So when you really love someone, that person understands and they want to reciprocate. The same thing is with Krishna. Hmm? So he's a very lovable person. He loves us and he tries to reciprocate. So when we get the mercy of Krishna, that is when we understand who Krishna is. So I will read the verse. That is what verse number 32 is. We have not started the chaturshloki yet. We will start from verse 33. Okay. But we'll just understand what Krishna is trying to tell. Unless we understand that without Krishna's mercy, nothing is going to move forward, we can't enter the secrets of chaturshloki, right? So let's see what Krishna is telling here. Yavan aham yatha bhavo yadrupa gunakarmakah tataiva tattva vijnanam astu me mad anugrahat. Anyone would like to read translation?
Hare
I can
Krishna.
read, Mataji. Go ahead, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Mataji. All of me, namely my actual eternal form and my transcendental existence, color, qualities, and activities, let let all be awakened within you by factual realization out of my causeless mercy. Hare Krishna.
Very well. So Krishna is giving his blessings first because he's going to reveal something major. So he's giving the blessings and he's saying, don't worry, by my causeless mercy, you will understand everything. What does Brahma want to understand? Brahma has these questions to the Lord. He wants to understand the Lord's forms, right? That is what he asked in verse number 26. He said, I want to understand your forms. Second, he wants to understand the Lord's energies. Third, he wants to understand the Lord's activities, forms, energies, activities. And he doesn't stop there. He says, I also want to serve you. So these are the four requests. He wants to understand the Lord's forms, the Lord's energies, the Lord's activities, and he wants to attain service to the Lord. Mercy for Lord's service. So he says, don't worry, you will get everything, and everything is possible by my causeless mercy. So let's see what Prabhupada has to say in this purport. I will summarize this, but then next verse onwards, we will read every word, okay? Purport by Srila Prabhupada. So Prabhupada says that the secret of success in understanding all the intricacies of the absolute truth is only by the causeless mercy of the Lord. So, how do we understand the Lord? Even if we have to understand a tiny fragment of who the Lord is, you can understand only by the causeless mercy of the Lord. It is said that you can count the stars in the sky, you can count the grains of sand in the earth, and you may even be able to count the hairs on your body, but you can never understand the glories of the Lord. To understand a tiny fragmental part of who God is, you need His causeless mercy. So, Prabhupada explains so beautifully. He says, even in the material world, the father of many sons discloses the secret only to his pet sons. He will not tell his greatest of all secrets to everybody. Even among the different sons he has, he might have one pet son whom he relates to with a lot, okay, who can hold the secrets the father is telling. So the person the father has the most confidence in, to that son alone he will confide everything. So that's how things function. Similarly, if a person is a great he's an important personality like a minister or a president or some leader. Will he tell all his secrets to everybody? Only someone who's very close to him, who's always with him, who's always accompanying him everywhere he's going. Only that person will know the greatest of all secrets of this person, right? Uh, in those days, it is said in scriptures that generally the kings, if you see, in many cases, many of the kings, who is their most confidential minister? It would be their charioteer. Have you seen that? Have you noticed that? In so many Mahabharata, Ramayana, and all you see, like for example, let's take Dasharatha itself. Dasharatha's charioteer, Sumantara, right? He was the minister. The Dhritarashtra's charioteer, Sanjaya, becomes the minister. So, like that, charioteer sometimes becomes their most confidential associate. Why? Why like that? Because when they're going, they're coming, when they're going to the palace, walking out of the palace, most of the time they are, during their transport and everything, they get to associate with the charioteer, and that person becomes the most secret confidant of the king. So you will find these things in scriptures, that's why it's an important post. Sometimes it's very, very important. They know all the secrets of the king. In Valmiki Ramayana also, you see how Sumantara knew the secrets of everything of Dasharath, what Dasharath have, what all happened with Dasharath, what are the curses he got, what was foretold to him. There's so many predictions that were made about Lord Ram. So he knew everything. So why are we talking about that? Because a person will have one close associate with whom he will tell everything, right? So, but why will he tell everything to this person? Because he has full faith in this person and he thinks this person is worthy. So that's why he wants to reveal everything. So similarly, if the Lord finds us worthy, and the Lord thinks that we are able to love him unconditionally, then he will be ready to bestow his mercy upon us. So it's a very beautiful way of starting this purport by Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada starts it like this. He gives the example that in the material world, a father may have many, many sons, but he will disclose the uh, most important secrets only to his pet son. So, similarly, we should understand the Lord is unlimited. He's unlimited. Nobody can know him completely. But depending on our advancement in loving devotional service, we become eligible to know the Lord. We have to gain that eligibility. How did the pet son gain the eligibility to know the secret of the father? Because he became eligible. He was very loving to his father. He gained that eligibility. Therefore, all the secrets were known unto him. So when the Lord is sufficiently pleased with a devotee, like how he is now pleased with the Brahma, he will bestow his causeless mercy on such a devotee. And only such a devotee gets a factual realization of the Lord. Okay. So just by mundane education or intellectual gymnastics, as Prabhupada puts it, one may not understand the Supreme Lord. If one should know the Supreme Lord, what should he have? He should have full faith in scriptures. He should have full faith in the bona fide spiritual master. He should be fully faithful to the Lord. Then automatically everything will dawn into him. You all know the story of that Brahmana and Srirangam, how he was reading the Bhagavad Gita, very famous story from Chaitanya Charitamrita. He didn't even hold the book straight, right? He had it upside down and his eyes were filled with tears. And when Sriman Mahaprabhu asked him, what is it that is making you so emotional and why are you crying so much? He says, I'm an illiterate. I don't know to read the Bhagavad Gita. I don't know Sanskrit. But then my spiritual master has told me that I should read, but I don't know how to read. So I just hold the book. I don't even know if I'm holding it right. But the very picture of Krishna, when I see the Bhagavad Gita, immediately I think of the picture of how Krishna was the charioteer of Arjun, how Krishna took that menial position of a charioteer. And thinking of that, my eyes are filled with tears and I'm not able to read further. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells him, actually, you have understood the purport of Bhagavad Gita. Right? Even if he is illiterate in a mundane sense, he will automatically know everything by the mercy of the Lord. The Lord will give him all the realizations in his heart. So in the Bhagavad Gita, it is also says that the Lord reserves his right. He doesn't want to be exposed to everybody. He will conceal himself from the faithless through his Maya potency. Anyone knows which verse this is? Avajananti? You all slept
Mama.
already? Okay, please go ahead because don't sleep. We have to do chaturshloki, okay? Please don't sleep. Yeah, go ahead.
Naham prakasha sarvasya yo bhagavah
Naham
sarvasya.
prakashasya sarvasya. Yes, Prabhuji, that is correct. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I said avajananti marmuda manusham tanmashrita. Yeah, that is also there. But Naham prakashasya sarvasya. That is the correct verse. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Okay, so to the faithful, the Lord reveals himself. He reveals his form, qualities, and pastimes. And those who are not faithful, they don't understand the Lord correctly. So there are others who think that the Lord is formless, right? The impersonalists, they think the Lord is formless, but they have not experienced it properly. This is not the correct understanding of the scriptures. The true devotee is the one who can truly understand the Lord's glories. So, the Lord, He is revealing His transcendental existence here in these verses. And there are many mundane scholars who are reading books, but they think everything is formless, Lord is formless. Why? Because they want to negate all mundane conceptions. Because anything in this world that has qualities, that has varieties, they want to negate it. Because they don't want to be in this world. They think this world is not a place to live in. So they want to negate everything in this world. And they apply the same to the spiritual world or the same to the Lord also. So, in that sense, they want to negate the form of the Lord. But however, it is said in Brahma Samhita and other scriptures that the Lord always has a transcendental form. With his eyes, he can eat. With his legs, he can probably not just run, but he can even eat with his legs. He can do anything he wants with any anga of the body. Angani asya sakalendriya. So he can do it with any anga of his body. His form is Sachidananda. It is full of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. So this is the form of the Lord, and that form is going to be understood by Brahma. Okay. And of course, the Lord, in various scriptures, it is described that the Lord's form is blackish. He wears this beautiful yellow dhoti and he has this curly hair, lotus-like eyes, and so on. So this beautiful form of the Lord is described in various scriptures. Anyone who sees this form of the Lord, I think the Lord certainly, he proves there, this is the supreme, I am the supreme, I am the supreme. So he looks so beautiful to the eyes, and he sits in the hearts of the devotees. So, however, we should understand when the same Lord, he comes in various other forms. Like sometimes he comes in a two-handed human-like form. Sometimes he comes like a fish. Sometimes he comes like a lion. Sometimes like a tortoise. He comes in various forms. But in all these different forms, you should remember that the Lord is always transcendental. He doesn't have material forms. Okay. So the Lord remains always transcendental, irrespective of whatever form he may want to take for the sake of the devotee. And the Lord, when he incarnates himself for the pleasure of the devotee, right? When Krishna came here 5,000 years ago, he performed very, very beautiful pastimes. He was protecting the devotees. He lifted the Govardhan hill. 7-year-old boy lifted the Govardhan hill. There are many people who question, oh, it cannot be. They doubt if this is the Supreme Lord. They think it's all myth. But however, the Lord, not only is his form very inconceivable and very, very beautiful, but also his qualities, his pastimes, everything he does is inconceivable. To understand all this, what is that one quality we should have? We should have the causeless mercy of the Lord. Okay, so there are four things we are going to understand. We are going to understand about Jnanam, Vijnana, Sarahasyam, Tadangam. That is what we are going to understand. And to understand all this, what do we need? We need one key ingredient, which is the causeless mercy of the Lord. Okay, the Lord is unlimited. He's extremely beautiful. He comes in various forms as well, but his name, form, qualities, pastimes are very difficult to conceive. If you want to conceive any of this, you need the causeless mercy of the Lord. Okay, having said that, let's delve into Chaturshloki Bhagavatam. This is the first verse. We'll go sentence by sentence, so don't worry. And we can try to do as much justice as possible. Aham evasame nanyat yat sat asat param paschat aham yat etatcha yo avasishyeta sosmyaham. Anyone would like to read the verse as such? Please raise your hand. Yeah, please go ahead, Mataji. Please recite the verse.
Aham evasam evagre nanyad yat sad asat param paschat aham yad etacha yo vashishyeta sosmyaham.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Anyone else would like to recite? Please go ahead. Yes, Navramai.
Vasam evagre nan yad yad tad asat param paschad aham yad etak cha yo vashishyeta somyaham.
Very good. Thank you, Sudarshan. Yes, Madhurmai Mataji.
Aham eva samevagre nanyat yat sat asat param pashadaham yadetacha yo vishishyetsu asmyaham.
Haribol. Thank you so much, Mataji. Isha Madan Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you. Ahamevasme vagre, ahamevasame vagre, nanyad yada sat sad param, paschadyaham yadetacha, yova shishyate so samyaham. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Thank you so much, Mataji. Praladananda Prabhu.
Pranamata. Ahamevasame nanyad yat sat param paschadaham yadetacha yo vasisyeta sosmyaham.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Sunil Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Aham eva samevagre nanyad asat pavam pashad aham etacha yo vashishtos miham. Haribo.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Namras Chaitanya Prabhu. Namaras Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Kadapana. Aham eva sameva gre anyat yat sat asat param paschat aham yat etacha yo eva sistit so asmi aham.
Hari Hari. Thank you, Prabhu. Kiran Mataji.
Shri Krishna.
Ahamevasame nanyat yat sat asat param paschadaham yadetacha yo avisheshato sosamam.
Thank you, Mataji. Tulsi Gopi Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Aham eva samevagre nanyad yat sadasat param paschadaham yadetacha yo avashishye tasososmyaham.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. You're back? Okay. Padmini Mataji, and then you can
Hare
also
Krishna
read.
Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Aham evashyam evakre nanyat yat sat asat param pashat aham et ekatcha yogashyete somyaham.
Thank you, Mataji. Padmini Mataji, can you please read translation as well?
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Brahma, is it I, the personality of Godhead, who was existing before the creation, when there was nothing but myself, nor was there the material nature, the cause of this creation. That is which you see now is also I, the personality of Godhead. And after annihilation, what remains will also be I, the personality of Godhead.
Right. Thank you. So let's see actually word by word, and then I'll also give some background before we can move forward. So here, aham, meaning who's aham? Krishna is speaking, right? Sri Bhagavan Vach. In the previous verse we saw, when he began to speak, he said, only by my mercy you will understand all this. So Krishna already started speaking. So aham here means the personality of Godhead. Eva certainly. Eva, asameva. Only I existed. Asam, asti, to stay there, to be there. Only I existed. Agre. Agre means what? In front, right? In the beginning, agre. This is famous Narayanam. Agre pashyami tejo. So agre. Aham evasam evagre. I was only there in the beginning, right? From the front, from the beginning actually. Front, begin, all these words are relating to the Sanskrit word agre. Okay. So right from the scratch, right from the Adikal, who was there? Only I was there. And na anyat, no one else. Yat sat asat param. Anyat means anything else, yet all those, sat the effect and asat the cause. So he's telling here, only I was there when nothing else was there. What is that nothing else? The cause and effect. What is cause and effect? Cause and effect is actually the material creation. The material nature is the effect, and the cause of the material nature, which is the original, like the pradhan. Neither was the prakriti or the pradhan present before me. Okay, so only I was present. And then he says, that which you see now is also only me. He's telling, yo avasishyeta, whatever is remaining, whatever is existing now, saha, that asmi, it is me, and it is me only. Asmi aham. It is only I, the personality of Godhead. So he's telling Brahma, only I existed before the creation happened. Before that, there was nothing but myself, nor was this created material world, this material manifestation that you see, that was also not there. The cause, that is the unmanifest state and the manifest state, both of it was not there initially. Only I am the ultimate cause of everything that exists. And whatever you're seeing now, that is also me only. And after annihilation also, only I will be present. So what is he trying to say here? He's saying that in the beginning, in the present, and in the future, all the time, only I will exist. That is what Krishna is trying to say in verse number 1. So this verse is talking about Krishna and his energies. So let's see exactly how this verse has come up. Okay, I'll give a little background, and once we do the background, we'll get into the purport and we will try to understand it further. So we see that this chapter 9 began as a response to Parikshit Maharaj's questions. Parikshit Maharaj had so many questions in the previous chapter, and this particular chapter is going to answer all these questions. These questions were also there in the heart of Brahma. And when Brahma did meditation, finally he saw the Lord face to face. and he had some questions to the Lord because that is what he was seeking to understand. As a result of his tapasya, he had some questions. He was seeking answers to that. He wanted to know about the Lord and his energies and his nature and so on. So he wanted to know all this and he began questioning. So that is answered in the 4 seed verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So the first verse, the first and the second verse, they talk about Sambandha. Sambandha Gyan. What is Sambandha Gyan? Sambandha Gyan means understanding who you are in relationship with the Lord. That is Sambandha. The third verse talks about Abhideya. What is Abhideya? The process of getting to know God. How do you attain God? What is the process? And finally, Prayojana. Prayojana is the goal. So we have Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. These 4 verses of the Chaturshloki, they cover these 3 important features, which is Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. Now, where do we see the seed shloka that talks about Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana? So we see that in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he describes about how Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained to the residents of Varanasi about the conclusion of the Vedanta Sutras. The residents of Varanasi, they wanted to know what is the conclusion of the Vedanta Sutras. So for that, in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 2.5.99 to 100, he talks about the chaturshloki Srimad Bhagavatam, and he says Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana is mentioned in the chaturshloki of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the verse. Bhagavatera Sambandha Abhideya Prayojana Chaturshloki Tepa Prakata Tarakariya Che Lakshana. So this verse comes in the Madhya Leela, 5th chapter, verse number 102. What does he say? The essence of Srimad Bhagavatam, our relationship with the Supreme Lord, our activities in that connection, and the goal of life is manifest in the 4 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam known as Chaturshloki. Everything you need is explained in these 4 verses. Everything you need to understand Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana is present in these 4 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. Bhagavatera Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana Chatushlokite Prakata Tara Kariyache Lakshana. So it becomes prakat. It becomes seen through the Chaturshloki of Srimad Bhagavatam. So what is this Sambandha that we are talking about? We're saying Sambandhas. What is that? Sambandha is nothing but Jnanam. Remember the 4 that we were discussing? Jnanam, Vijnanam. Then what did we say? 2 more I said. What are the other 2? Jnanam, Vijnanam,
Sarahasyam,
Sarahasyam,
and then Tad Angam.
And
The
that
components.
Anganam.
The components.
Sarahasya. Yes, the 4 components. Sarahasyam tad angam. So this jnana, okay, jnana means what? Knowledge. What knowledge? You want to know about God. That is the knowledge. So sambandha means knowledge about God. That is the jnanam. Then the second word we heard was Vijnana. Vijnana, you all know from Bhagavad Gita. Jnana means knowledge. Vijnana means realized knowledge. So that realized knowledge or that application of that knowledge is Vijnana. That is also Sambandha Gyan. Okay, Sambandha Gyan is just not Jnanam. It includes both Jnanam and Vijnanam. It includes both. Now, what is Abhideya? The practice of bhakti is Abhideya. Abhideya means the means to understand God. How do you get to know God? Through the practice of devotional service. So that Abhideya is actually this bhakti or devotional service. Okay. Then Prayojana is that Sarahasyam, prema. Right? We were talking about prema bhakti. That is the prayojan. That is the ultimate goal. Through tad angam, through devotional service, through sadhana bhakti, what do you get? You get prema bhakti. So these 4 concepts are actually mentioned in the 4 verses of Chaturshloki. The first 2 verses is Sambandha Gyan. The third verse is Abhideya. And the last verse is Prayojana. So this is how we should understand the 4 shlokas that is mentioned as Chaturshloki. Now, this Srila Prabhupada, he talks about in detail in the purport from verse number 2.9.31. That is Jnana, Vijnana, Tad Anga and Tad Anga and Tad Rahasya. So he talks about these from verses 31 through 35. Okay, so the verses from 31 to 35, they consist of the topics related to chaturshloki, but the actual chaturshloki is from 32 to 35. Okay, so 33 and 34 is Jnanam followed by Vijnanam. 36 is Sadhana Bhakti and 35 is Prema Bhakti. It is actually reversed. The Prayojan comes in verse number 35, which is Sa Rahasyam, and verse number 36 is Sadhana Bhakti. So first you have Prema Bhakti discussed, then you come to Sadhana Bhakti. Because remember when we saw the Sanskrit, what did we say? We say Jnanam, Vijnanam, then Sarahasyam Pradangam. That was the order, remember, in that verse? That was the order in verse number 31. So that is the same order we will be seeing the answers. Sarahasyam followed by Tadangam. This Sarahasyam is Prema Bhakti, Tadangam is Sadhana Bhakti. So 1, 2, 3, 4 means in the first two verses you will see Jnanam followed by Vijnanam, then you will see Sarahasyam, then you will see Tadangam. Okay, because that's how the Bhagavan is talking. He's telling, I will tell you all this, right? So verse by verse, he will go in order and he will talk about sadhana bhakti towards the end, which means he talks about abhideya towards the end after he speaks about prayojana in verse number 35. Okay, keep all this in mind because as we read, it might get overwhelming. So just keep this in mind and we can take it from there. So now this verse, Aham 32, right? We are in verse number 33. Sorry, let's open up verse number 33. This is what we read. We read Aham evasam evagre. That means what? I alone existed before the creation. So this confirms that the Lord's form, abode, associates, pastimes, all of this alone existed. When he says I alone, it doesn't mean that it's just someone, a static personality existed in the beginning. When he says I alone, it includes his form, abode, associates, and pastimes. All this is included when he says aham evasam eva gre. I alone existed. That alone includes everything about him. Okay. So we should just not think that, one form existed. No. Everything about Krishna existed. Nanyat yat sat asat param. That Supreme Lord, which is existing from the beginning, he is superior to Sat and Asat. Sat and Asat is the cause of material creation and the material creation that has come into existence. So the cause and effect. He alone has existed before the cause and effect. Paschad aham yat etat cha. That means even after this creation, even after it's destroyed, everything, who exists? The Supreme Lord, He Himself exists even after everything is created and after everything is destroyed. Yo aviseshyeta sosmyaham. I alone exist even after everything is completed, everything is destroyed. So when it is existing also, Krishna exists. When everything is destroyed also, only He exists. Okay. So when the universe is existing, he exists in the Paramatma feature. He comes into this universe in various incarnations and he comes into every single atom. So he alone is present everywhere, even when the universe is existing, right? So when the universe is existing also, he is present. Before the universe came into existence also, he was present in Vaikuntha. And when the universe is destroyed also, only Krishna remains everywhere. So this is what he's telling. And now we'll get into the purport and we will take turns and read. And then after every paragraph, I'll try to summarize what is being told. That way we can gather our mind around it. So anyone would like to get started with the first paragraph of the purport?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Mataji, can I do?
Yes, Mataji, please.
We should note very carefully that the personality of Godhead is addressing Lord Brahma and specifying with great emphasis himself, pointing out that it is he, the personality of Godhead, who existed before the creation. It is he only who maintains the creation, and it is he only who remains after the annihilation of the creation. Brahma is also the creation of the Supreme Lord. The impersonalists put forth the theory of oneness in the sense that Brahma, also being the same principle of I, because he is an emanation from there, I, the absolute truth, is identical with the Lord and the principle of I, and that there is thus nothing more than the principle of I, as explained in in this verse. Accepting the arguments of the impersonalists, it is to be admitted that the Lord is the creator I and that the Brahma is created I. Therefore, there is a difference between two I's, namely the predominator I and the predominated I. Therefore, there are still two I's, even accepting the argument of the impersonalist. But we must note carefully that these two eyes are accepted in Vedic literature, Kadopanishad, in the sense of quality. Shall I continue, Mataji? Or
Yeah, you can stop after you say this. Yeah. The
yeah.
Kathopanishad says.
The Kadopanishad says, Nityo Nityanam Seshchanas Setanam Ego Bahunam Yo Vidyate Kaman.
Thank you so much, Mataji. So, the Lord begins the chaturshloki with a very heavy emphasis saying, I alone. Only I exist. In the beginning also I exist. In the end also I exist. In the middle also I exist. Everywhere only I exist. So when this I comes, what happens is that the impersonals, even till today, there are so many reels that are made out of some crazy impersonalist gurus who come and says the me and the me and the me and all, and you must have all be you all are aware of all these jokes. So they say there is only one me, there is only one I, that is that Brahman. You are also Brahman, I am also Brahman, this chair is also Brahman, this table is also Brahman, everything is Brahman. So in the middle also there is Brahman, in the beginning also Brahman, in the end also there is Brahman. That is the I, that is the Aham that Krishna is saying. Okay, so imagine, try to see this verse through the lens of an impersonalist. An impersonalist will read it like this. I forget Prabhupada's the personality of Godhead and his explanations that he has given here. If you take that out, you will just see I existed before creation. There was nothing but I. And during this creation, you see only I. During the end of this creation, only I will remain. So if you give this translation to an impersonalist, what will he say? Right? He will just say, there is only I, there is only one, there is only one Brahman, everything is Brahman. That Brahma is also Brahman, that person whom he is talking to is also Brahman. So ultimately, there is only one and there is only Brahman that always exists. This is the knowledge Brahma is gathering from this talk. This is how they will interpret this verse. But then Prabhupada says, there is a difference between the predominator and the predominated. So the one who's giving instruction is obviously different from the person who's hearing the instruction, right? Brahma is seeking knowledge elsewhere. That means there is somebody else who's giving him the knowledge. It is not, if everything is one, then why will Brahma have to take knowledge from someone else? Correct? So that means there are two. There is a difference. There are two I's here. One is the Brahma I and the other is the Supreme Lord I. Here, we should understand the Supreme Lord is telling Brahma only I existed in the beginning, in the middle, and the end. When this material existence is also there, I am there. When it is not there, also I am there. In the beginning, also I am there. In the end, also I am there. So he is the predominator and Brahma is the predominated. So the argument of the impersonalist is completely irrelevant here. In fact, in the Kathopanishad, also it is mentioned, Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kaman. So like Mataji already said, The creator I and the created I both are accepted in the Vedas. Okay, both of them are nityas, both of them are chetanas. So otherwise, why would it be in plural? It says nityo nityanam, chetanas chetananam, eko bahunam, one became many, yo vidadhati kaman. So that one became many, meaning we are qualitatively one with the Lord while we are qualitatively different. So that oneness is in quality and not in quantity. There is Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. That one Eko Bahunam Lo Vidadati Kaman. It's not that that one Brahman became, like they call this Pratibhimbava, that is, he got reflected into many. That is not the understanding. Qualitatively, there are many living entities who are one with Krishna only in terms of quality, not in terms of quantity. Why? Because we are his parts and parcels. That is the correct understanding. Okay, so when the two I's are mentioned here, one is the living entity I and the other is the Supreme Lord I. So that is how one should understand. One should not think that only Brahman existed. Oh, Brahman existed. Okay, only I existed. I existed. That means Brahman and Brahma are the same. One should not come to such a conclusion. Okay, next paragraph. Anyone would like to read?
Hare Krishna. Can I read?
Yeah, go ahead, Mataji.
The creator I and the created I are both accepted in the Vedas as qualitatively one because both of them are nityas and chetanas. But the singular I is the creator I and the created eyes are of plural number because there are many eyes like Brahma and those generated by Brahma. It is a simple truth. The father creates or begets a son, and the son also creates many other sons, and all of them may be one as human beings, but at the same time, from the father, the son, and the grandsons are all different. The son cannot take the place of the father, nor can the grandsons. Simultaneously, the father, the son, and the grandson are one and different also. As human beings, they are one, but as relativities, they are different. Therefore, the relativities of the creator and the created, or the predominator and the predominated, have been differentiated in the Vedas by saying that the predominator I is the feeder of the predominated eyes, and thus there is a vast difference between the two principles of I.
Very good, Mataji. Let me ask you. So here it is mentioned that the creator I and the created I are both accepted in the Vedas as being one in quality. Who is plural and who is singular here?
Mataji, the creator is singular, Krishna,
Mm.
and the
Mm.
created, all the jivas are plural.
Okay. But the created living entities, they are also in one sense singular. How?
Yeah, singular in the sense, Mataji, like Krishna is also eternal, and we are also eternal.
Okay. So in this example where a father is begetting a son and the son is begetting many more grandsons, how are they one and multiple?
Okay. Um, they are all human beings, Mataji.
They are human beings, but still they are
Yeah,
individuals, right? So
individual.
they are
Yeah.
one, but they are many. But then there is a difference between this and the Supreme Lord, this living entities and the Supreme Lord. The living entities are multiple, but still they are considered one set. Okay. But the Supreme Lord is a completely different personality altogether. He doesn't belong to this set. How? He is the predominator and we are the predominated. He is the creator and we are the created. He is the predominator I and he is feeding the predominated eyes. That way, there is a difference in the two principles of I. There is me, okay, the living entity, and there is you, the living entity, and there are other devotees in this class who are living entities. But collectively, we are all jivas. Okay. But our tattva is different from Krishna. Krishna is Krishna Tattva, he is Vishnu Tattva, he is the Supreme Lord, he is Ishvara, but we all are Jivas. Okay, so far okay. Yes, Prahladananda Prabhu.
Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. I understand the jivas are not created like jiva bhuta sanatana, he says like that. So I heard ekoham bahushyam. This is another aphorism. I don't know where it comes from, but it says that I expand into many vibhinna amsas. Vibhinna amsas are the conditioned souls, whereas swa amsas are Vishnu tattvas. So that kind of classification I've heard. So you can probably can give some more light on that one.
Here when Prabhupada says the creator I and the created eyes, that means he just means to say that it's not that the jivas were created at some point in time. That is not the understanding we're trying to get at here. So the jivas are also eternal, Krishna is also eternal. But he is the origin, he is that original candle. And of course, separated living entities are coming from him. But then who's the original, right? It is Krishna only. We are as parts and parcels, but we are separated parts and parcels. All that is accepted. And again, there is no origin to when we existed. But there is original source, and that is only Krishna.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for bringing that up, Prabhu. It's a very important philosophical point. Thank you so much. Okay, so we are good so far, right? So what did we see so far? So we have seen that there are, when we say aham, it begins with aham eva sameva agre nanya dyat sat param. Only I existed, I exist. So, he says, vishishyeta sosmyaham. At the end also he says, only I exist even after destruction. When so many I come, when you see through the lens of an impersonalist, it may appear, everything may be appearing like only I exist, I, and then you come up with all these funny philosophies. But how should we understand this? Prabhupada has written it very nicely, saying that impersonalists may put such theories, but clearly there is a difference between the predominated I and the predominator I. And he says, otherwise, why would Brahma even be asking questions and getting clarifications from the Lord? He also quotes Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetananam. So there is plural number of I's and there is that singular I. As a plural, we all belong to one set, but that tattva is completely different, right? So we are his parts and parcels. So he is the predominator and we are predominated. So far, okay? So now let's continue. Anyone would like to read in another feature? Go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Can I read?
Yes, Prabhuji.
In another feature of this verse, no one can deny the personalities of both the Lord and Brahma. Therefore, in the ultimate issue, both the predominator and predominated are persons. This conclusion refutes the conclusion of the impersonalist that the issue ultimate issue everything is impersonal. This impersonal feature traced by the less intelligent impersonalist school is refused by pointing out that predominator I is absolute truth uh, and that he is a person. The predominated I, Brahma, is also a person, but he is not the absolute. For realization of oneself in spiritual psychology, it may be convenient to assume oneself to be the same principle as the absolute truth. But there is always the difference of predominated and predominator, as clearly pointed out here in this verse, which is grossly misused by impersonalists. Brahma is factually seeing face to face his predominator Lord, who exists in his transcendental eternal form even after the annihilation of the material creation. The form of the Lord, as seen by Brahma, existed before the creation of Brahma, and the material manifestation with all ingredients and agents of material creation are also uh, energetic expansion of the Lord. And after the exhibition of the Lord's energy comes to close, what remains is the same personality of Godhead. Therefore, the form of the Lord exists in all circumstances of creation, maintenance, and annihilation. The Vedic hymns confirms this fact in statement Vasudeva Vak Idam Agra Asin
न च ब्रह्मा न च शंकर न ब्रह्मा न च शंकर एको नारायण आसीन न ब्रह्मा निशेन. Go ahead, Prabhu. I don't know if we lost him. I'll continue if we have lost him. Before the creation, there was none except Vasudeva. There was neither Brahma nor Shankara. Only Narayana was there and no one else. Neither Brahma nor Ishana. Sripad Shankaracharya also confirms in his comments on the Bhagavad Gita that Narayana Paro Avyaktat. You have heard this? Very, very famous statement. This was brought up by Shankaracharya in his commentary in Bhagavad Gita. That Narayana, the personality of Godhead, is transcendental to all creation. This is affirmed by Shankaracharya. But the whole creation is the product of Avyakta. Avyakta means one who's not manifest. Who's that person who's not manifest? It is only Narayana. The rest of it is manifest universe, or everyone else is within this world. There is only one personality who's beyond this material manifestation, and that is Narayana. Therefore, the difference between the created and the creator is always there, although both the creator and created are of the same quality. So in this, yes, go ahead, Prabhuji. You wanted to finish reading?
yeah, I can. It is done, right? Finished, right? You already.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes.
Yeah, thanks.
Sorry, I think we lost you in between. That's why I
Yeah,
finished
yeah.
reading.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol. Thank you, Prabhu. So we saw so far, what did we see? We saw about the eyes of the impersonalist. Then we saw there is a difference between the two eyes, the predominated eye and the predominating eye. And predominated is the living entities, and we are multiple, but we are still considered one category, while the predominator is a separate category all in himself. Now, in this paragraph, Prabhupada addresses the fact that this personality, this I, this predominator that we are talking about, he is actually a person. It's not that he's some impersonal light or he's some energy or he's just some concept. No, he says he's a person. Why do we say so? Prabhupada is actually indicating to us that just now Brahma saw the spiritual world, right? He had a vision of Vaikuntha. He saw this beautiful form of the Lord, and we were describing the beauty of the Lord. Remember that those verses where the Lord's beauty is described, oh, he's wearing nice, beautiful yellow garments, and he has lotus petal like eyes, curly hair, sharp like earrings. So much description was given. When so much description is given, how can you refute the fact that he is a person? Right? And how can we say everything is impersonal? And then you call you're also some impersonal thing, and you will realize that you're impersonal after you remove that Maya. What is all this philosophy? That's what Prabhupada is attacking. He's saying, no, the absolute truth is a person. You're also a person. If you are a person, then why can't the absolute truth be a person? So, this absolute truth, who is a person, he has this transcendental existence. That is the second point in this particular paragraph. His existence is always transcendental, meaning it's not that he comes to existence at a point and he gets destroyed. He was there in the beginning, like when Brahma saw Vaikuntha, he could see that he was there in the beginning, before this material existence. He's there within this material existence as a personality also. The Paramatma in the heart is a personality, though you may not see him that way. You might just think, but in meditation, a person can get a vision of the personality in the heart, right? He is also a personality. In this existence also he's there, and he comes as incarnations as personalities. And even at the end, who remains? Only Krishna remains. And yes, he has a form. It's not that his form gets destroyed. You all know how even the Dham doesn't get destroyed. Even the Dham remains eternal. Then what to talk of Krishna's own form, right? He always exists in his original personality. And this is also confirmed by everyone, even the leader of the impersonalist, who is Sripad Shankaracharya, where he says that Narayana Paro Avyaktat, and also the Vedic hymns and the Shastras and the Vedas it is mentioned, Vasudeva va idamagra asina brahmana cha shankara Eko Narayana Asina Brahma na Ishana. There was only one Narayana. There is always only one Narayana who is beyond everything. Na Brahma, na Shankara, na Brahma, na Ishana. So not them, but there is only one absolute truth. Vasudeva va idam agra. Again, we're coming to agra, the origin, the original, the one in the top, right? Only he exists. Okay, so far okay, right? So the concept of everything is I, that is negated, and then Prabhupada very beautifully talks about the personal form, and this personal form is always transcendental, not a feature of this material world. It is always he is always transcendent. Okay, now let's see the other feature of the statement. Go ahead. Anybody?
I can read Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
The other feature of the statement is that the supreme truth is Bhagwan, or the personality of Godhead. The personality of Godhead and his kingdom have already been explained. The kingdom of Godhead is not void as conceived by the impersonalists. The Vaikuntha planets are full of transcendental variegatedness, including the four-handed residents of those planets, with great opulence of wealth and prosperity. And there are even airplanes and other amenities required for high grade personalities. Therefore, the personality of Godhead exists before the creation, and he exists with all transcendental variegatedness in the Vaikuntha Lokas. The Vaikuntha Lokas, also accepted in the Bhagavad Gita as being of the Sanatan nature, are not annihilated even after the annihilation of the manifested cosmos. Those transcendental planets are of a different nature altogether, and that nature is not subjected to the rules and regulations of material creation, maintenance, or annihilation. The existence of the personality of Godhead implies the existence of the Vaikuntha Lokas, as the existence of a king implies the existence of a kingdom. Hare Krishna.
That's easy to understand, right? If there is a king, if he is a person, he has a beautiful form, he's existing beyond this manifested world, then he should have a place of existence. Just like how, if there is a king, he should have his kingdom, right? So, what is this place of existence? If Krishna is existing as a personality beyond this material world and he's continuing to exist before, after, during, then we can imagine that the place where he is existing, that world should also be eternal. That place is called as Vaikuntha. It is filled with transcendental variegatedness. This material world, we see so much variegatedness. If I just look out of the window, I see a forest, I see two birds, I see squirrels, and then I see plants, and I see trees, I see flowers, and I see vehicles zipping across, and then I see human beings going on a walk. I see so much variety. Then why won't the spiritual world have variety? The Vaikuntha planets are full of variegatedness. And the residents are so beautiful. If people of this world are beautiful to our eyes, if the opposite gender looks very attractive to our eyes, then what to talk of the transcendental world where everyone is eternal? It is said that the women in the higher planetary systems, they are so desirable, they're so beautiful. They have the best of all features and fragrance and whatnot. Then what to talk about the personalities in Vaikuntha? Because no material tinge can touch them, right? So that is the kind of personalities we're talking about. So the 400 residents in those planets, the wealth, the opulence, the prosperity. Prabhupada even calls out the airplanes and other amenities. It is all high grade in the spiritual world. That means it is full of variety. So when the impersonalists, they talk of liberation, what do they want to do? They just want to merge in Brahman. They just want to exist. They don't want variety because they think if variety is there in this world, that means variety should be negated. We don't want it. If we have to be liberated, we should just get rid of everything that we see in this world. But that is not the correct understanding. It is much better in the spiritual world and it is transcendental. It doesn't have a touch, a tinge of material substance. Everything is spirit, everything is variegated in the spiritual world. And it remains forever, Sanatana, right? It remains always, it continues to remain. 15th chapter Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says that Tadhama Paramam Mama, na Yat Gatvana Nivartante Tadhama Paramam Mama. So he calls about his Paramdham, he calls it out. He says, Na Tadbhasayate Suryo na Sashanko na Pavakaha. That is the beauty of the spiritual world. So they are of a different nature altogether. And they are not subject to this creation and destruction, the cyclic annihilation that happens in the material world. There's no question of that in the spiritual world. Okay, so what all did we say so far? First, we saw the concept of I. What is I? It's not that everything is one. There are two I's, the predominator, the predominated. That's the first thing we saw. Second thing we saw is that God, that I, that predominator, he has a beautiful form, right? He has a beautiful form and he's actually the creator of everything. The third paragraph we are seeing, he has a place. Just like how we have a place here, Krishna also, that beautiful form of the Lord, he also resides in Vaikuntha Loka, which is beyond this material manifestation. So let's continue. Anyone would like to read?
May I read, Mata?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. In various places in Srimad Bhagavatam and in other revealed scriptures, the existence of the personality of Godhead is mentioned. For example, in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.8.10, Maharaj Parikshit asks, Sa chapi yatra purusho visvasthiti udbhava vapyaha muktvatma mayam mayesha stete sarva guhasayaha. How does the personality of Godhead, the cause of creation, maintenance, and annihilation, who is always freed from the influence of the illusory energy and is the controller of the same, lie in everyone's heart? Similar also is a question of Viduras. Tatvanam Bhagwan Stesham Katida Prati Sankramaha Tatremam Ka Upasiram Ka U Sid Anusrete, Bhagavatam 3.7. Sridhar Swami explains these in his notes. During the annihilation of the creation, who serves the Lord lying on the seas, etc. This means that the transcendental Lord, with all his name, fame, quality, and paraphernalia, exists eternally. The same confirmation is also in the Kasi Khand of the Skand Puran in connection with the Dhruv Charita. It is said there, Na Chavante pi yad bhakta mahatmyam pralayapadi ato chuto khile loke sa ekah swarga abhyayaha. Even the devotees of this personality of Godhead are not annihilated during the period of the entire annihilation of the material world, not to speak of the Lord himself. The Lord is ever existent in all three stages of material change. Okay, do you want me to continue?
Yeah, we'll just summarize this and then we'll go to the next section. So there's a very beautiful section where in the Srimad Bhagavatam itself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead and his abode is mentioned, that it is eternal and he is also eternal. And Prabhupada first quotes the previous chapter. In the previous chapter, only Parikshit asked this question, right? So he asked, how is this personality of Godhead, who is the creator of everything, how is he free from this material illusion and all that? And how is he living there in the spiritual world, yet he's living in the heart of all living entities? He's asking this question. That means he has the understanding. The same thing was asked even by Vidura. And Vidura also asked, how is he present everywhere? He's asking. So, and when these verses are made by these great devotees, Sridhar Swami, his explanation is given that during the annihilation of this material world, when Lord is lying on Sesha, is there anyone, any of these living entities who's going and serving the Lord when he's lying there in the when he's lying on Sesha? That means the point is he has always existed. He has always been there. He and his paraphernalia, they have existed eternally. He also quotes Skanda Purana that says after this material world has annihilated, the eternal residents in Vaikuntha, they are also living forever. It's not that some of the living entities there died. Then what to talk of the Supreme Lord, who is the Lord of the living entities in the spiritual world? He is also continuing to exist. So this is a reaffirmation that in the beginning and middle and the end, the Lord continues to exist. This is the second half of the shloka. The first half of the shloka was I exist, I exist, I exist, nothing else other than me exists. But the second half of the shloka, what happened? He started telling beginning, middle, and end. He started describing that, right? So to describe that, in this particular purport, Srila Prabhupada has quoted various verses like how Praladananda Prabhu had read. Okay, so like this, throughout the Lord always exists. There is no point of time when the Lord did not exist. Next, anyone would like to read?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna. The impersonalist adduces no activity in the Supreme, but in this discussion between Brahma and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord is said to have activities also, as he has his form and quality. The activities of Brahma and other demigods during the maintenance of the creation are to be understood as the activities of the Lords. The king or the head executive of a state may not be seen in the government offices, for he may be engaged in royal comforts. Yet it should be understood that everything is being done under his direction and everything is at his command. The personality of Godhead is never formless. In the material world, he may not be visible in his personal form to the less intelligent class of men, and therefore he may sometimes be called formless. But actually, he is always in his eternal form in his Vaikuntha planets, as well as in other planets of the universes as different incarnations. The example of the sun is very appropriate in this connection. The sun in the night may not be visible to the eyes of man in the darkness, but the sun is visible wherever it has risen. That the sun is not visible to the eyes of the inhabitants of a particular part of the earth does not mean that the sun has no form.
Yeah, very good. So in the previous paragraphs, we saw how the Lord has a very beautiful form. And we also confirmed that the Lord has a place to live. He has a beautiful dham that is transcendental. Everything about him, his form and his residence is both transcendental, right? So now, okay, fine. We agree his form is transcendental. He resides in an abode that is beyond this material manifestation. And then further, we saw so many verses that affirms that this abode of the Lord never perishes; it's always there. That's what we have seen. Then what is the Lord doing there, right? Is there some activity there, or it is just some existence? It just exists, like how Brahman just exists. Brahman just has the Sat feature, right, and complete. That means it just exists. So similarly, do we say that Vaikuntha also just exists? The Lord just exists there? Static personality there? No. He has so many activities besides the form and the quality that we spoke of. He has so many other activities, and all these activities are also transcendental. And Prabhupada gives the analogy of the king or the head of state. He may not be seen directly performing activities, but you might see that the governmental officers are performing different activities, and it appears that, oh, he's just enjoying. But then we should understand that everything is happening under his direction. All the activities that is executed in the state is happening under his direction. And people, they're very foolish because they don't see the Lord face to face. They think, oh, God is just a concept, it's just some formless energy, just because God is in Vaikuntha. But then, can you say that the sun doesn't exist during night? It exists. It is existing on the other side of the planet. That means you don't have the ability to see. It doesn't mean that the sun itself doesn't exist. Okay, so we are good so far. I think we have to speed up a little. So it's my mistake also. I'm also going slow. Finish these two paragraphs if someone can read. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad.
Hare Krishna Mataji, I can read. In the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad 1.4.1, there is him Atme Vedam Agra Ashit Purusha Vidaha. This mantra indicates the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna even before the appearance of Purusha incarnation. In the Bhagavad Gita 15.18, it is said that Lord Krishna is Purushottama because he is the supreme Purusha, transcendental even to the Purusha Akshara and Purushakshara. The Akshara Purusha or the Mahavishnu throws his glance over Prakriti or material nature, but the Purushatma existed even before that. The Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad therefore confirms the statement of Bhagavad Gita that Lord Krishna is the supreme person, Purushottama. In some of the Vedas, it is also said that in the beginning only the impersonal Brahman existed. However, according to this verse, the impersonal Brahman, which is glowing effulgence of the body of Supreme Lord, may be called the immediate cause, but the cause of all causes, or the remote cause, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord's impersonal feature is existent in the material world because by material senses or material eyes, the Lord cannot be seen or perceived. One has to spiritualize the senses before one can expect to see or perceive the Supreme Lord. But he is always engaged in his personal capacity, and he is externally visible to the inhabitants of Vaikuntha Loka face to face. Therefore, he is materially impersonal, just as the executive head of the state may be impersonal in the government offices, although he is not impersonal in the government house. Similarly, the Lord is not impersonal in his abode, which is always nira- nirashta kuhakam, as stated in the very beginning of the Bhagavatam. Therefore, both the impersonal and personal features of the Lord are acceptable, as mentioned in revealed scriptures. This personality of Godhead is very emphatically explained in Bhagavad Gita in connection with the verse Brahmano hi pratisthaham, Bhagavad Gita 14.27. Therefore, in all ways, the confidential part of spiritual knowledge is realization of the personality of Godhead and not his impersonal Brahman feature. One should therefore have his ultimate aim of realization not in the impersonal feature but in the personal feature of the absolute truth. The example of sky within the pot and the sky outside the pot may be helpful to student for his realization of all pervading quality of the cosmic consciousness of the absolute truth. But that does not mean that the individual part and parcel of the Lord becomes supreme by false claim. It means only that the conditioned soul is a victim of the illusionary energy in her last snare. To claim to be one, to claim to be one with the cosmic consciousness of the Lord is the last trap set by the illusionary energy or Devi Maya. Even in the impersonal existence of the Lord, as it is in the material creation, one should aspire for personal realization of the Lord, and that is the meaning of pas- paskad aham yad etat chayo veshishyeta sosyam aham.
Okay, we'll discuss this because it was a huge section. Thank you so much, Mataji. So, in this section, what we are trying to understand is that who is the original? When we're talking about the Lord is transcendental, he has a very beautiful form, his activities are transcendental. Oh, he's living in the spiritual world, he's in Vaikuntha, so on and so forth. Then automatically one may ask, actually, which form is the source of everything? Right? Because the Lord has so many expansions. What we know is we are trying to perceive God from our point of view. So, here in this material world, we are sitting inside this material world and we are trying to perceive the Lord. So, how do we naturally perceive the Lord? We naturally perceive the Lord as being the creator, right? Because we are the part, we are the created. We are the created I, we are the predominated I, right? Sitting in this material universe. So, how are we perceiving God? Remember, this is Sambandha Gyan. We are trying to establish our relationship with God. So, how are we searching out for God? We are searching out for God because we think that we are created by God. So, we are looking out for the Creator. That is what we are doing. So, when we are looking out for the Creator, it is natural to think that the personality who glanced over material creation is the Creator. Isn't that valid or not? It is very much valid. So we think Mahavishnu, yes, he is the one who has created. So he is the one who is always transcendental. Perfect. Very good understanding. But there is something beyond that. What is there beyond that? That is where Prabhupada, he brings out Bhagavad Gita. He says, Dvau imau purushau loke ksharascha evacha ksharah sarvani bhutani kutasto akshara uchyate. And after he says that, he talks about Purushottama. Yasmat ksharamati aksharat apichotamaha atosmi loke vedecha pratita Purushottama. However, okay, he says that yes, beyond this Mahavishnu who is glancing at this material universe, there is somebody called as Purushottama who's the source of even that Mahavishnu from where everything has come. And that Purushottama is greater than the Kshara and the Akshara. Who's Kshara? Purushakshara and Purushakshara. Who's Purushakshara? It is the liberated souls, the Nitya Siddhas. Who's Purushakshara? The one who are fallible, who are in this material world. Okay, there are two sets of living entities, the eternally liberated and the Baddha Jivas here. So this Purushottama is greater. That's why he's beyond the realm of creation. Even the person who's the immediate cause of this creation, Mahavishnu's glance, yes, he's the creator, no doubt, but then there is something beyond that, right? So that vichar is going on. Who is there beyond that Mahavishnu? So there is Purushottama, that is Krishna. Krishna has already mentioned that in the Bhagavad Gita. But some people argue, they say, no, 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 no. It should be the impersonal Brahman. From the impersonal Brahman only everything has come. But we understand that that impersonal Brahman is nothing but the effulgence of the Lord. And if you really want to see who this personality in the spiritual world is, you should have spiritual eyes. Just because you are not able to see the spiritual form of the Lord, it doesn't mean that he doesn't have a spiritual form. In fact, in Bhagavad Gita itself, it's saying Brahmano hi pratishtaham. Krishna has established, I am the source of that impersonal Brahman feature. Prabhupada talks about the example of the pot, the sky in the pot and the sky in the sky. Okay. So when you have a pot, gatash potash, something that logic is called. And Prabhupada says that in his lectures. So basically, when you see the reflection of the sky in a pot, okay, you just see a pot and you see the reflection of the sky in the pot. It may appear that the same sky is seen in the pot, so it is the same Brahman who is divided among many living entities. There is some kind of impersonal logic they have. They say everything is just a reflection of that Brahman. Okay, that is their understanding. But Prabhupada says it's a false claim. They're just trying to think everything is Brahman, you're God, I am God. This is the last snare of Maya. What is the last snare of Maya? To think you're God. So they are trying to beat Maya. They are trying to, get over Maya, the curtain of Maya. They want to get out of it and then they want to realize they are Brahman. But that very thought of realizing that they are the ultimate is actually the last snare of Maya. It is Maya. It is an illusion for you to think you're Brahman. That is what Brahman meaning Brahman, ultimate Brahman. Okay. Yes, we have Brahman as spirit souls, but one should not think that you are Parabrahman. That is the last snare of Maya. That is why, towards the end of this verse, it says, even after the destruction, only I exist. Krishna is telling. Even after destruction, only I exist. Actually, we are useless. We are in the cycle of creation and destruction continuously. We are just stuck here. But who's the one who's beyond it and who exists even after everything? That is the Supreme Lord. So then the last section, can someone read? And we'll stop.
Hare Krishna.
Go ahead, Indu.
Brahmaji also accepted the same truth when he was instructing Narada. He said, Soyam te abhitastata Bhagavan Vishwabhavana Bhagavatam 2:750. There is no other cause of all causes than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari. Therefore, this verse, Aham Eva, never indicates anything other than the Supreme Lord. And one should therefore follow the path of Brahma Sampradaya or the path from Brahmaji to Narada to Vyasadev, etc., and make it a point in life to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari or Lord Krishna. This very confidential instruction to the pure devotees of the Lord was also given to Arjuna and to Brahma in the beginning of the creation. The demigods like Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, Indra, Chandra, and Varuna are undoubtedly different forms of the Lord for execution of different functions. The different elemental ingredients of material creation, as well as the multifarious energies, also may be of the same personality of Godhead. But the root of all of them is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. One should be attached to the root of everything rather than being bewildered by the branches and leaves. That is the instruction given in this verse. Hare Krishna.
Right. So he beautifully ends this purport by telling even Brahma accepted this truth. When he was instructing Narada, when Narada thought that, oh, you must be the Supreme Lord. Remember that conversation, how it started? When Narada went and asked Brahma, it appears that you are creating everything, you are the Supreme Lord. And Brahma says, no, 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 there is the Supreme Lord above me. So Brahma has also accepted this truth. Right? He is told that there is no other ultimate cause of all causes other than Lord Hari. Therefore, when we hear this verse, we should understand the conviction that Brahma must have received when Krishna spoke to him, Ahameva. When Krishna says, only I have existed, and the conviction that Brahma had in that, and how Brahma repeated that later to Narada, right? Such a great Acharya. So, what should we do? We should just follow in the footsteps of Brahma, Narada, Vyasa, and so on. So, this kind of confidential instructions the Lord has given Brahma. He's also given Arjuna, right? His dear devotees, he has given in the beginning of creation itself, he's giving such instructions to his dear devotees. So, whenever we see other forms of great demigods like Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara, Chandra, all of them, we should understand they are also parts and parcels of Krishna. They are like the bodily parts of Krishna. But however, who is the root? The root is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The rest of them are branches and leaves of that one personality. So that is the instruction in this verse. That means what? This is Sambandha Gyan. What is Sambandha? Establishing relationship. You should know who he is, right, to establish a relationship. This is the God you're trying to establish a relationship with. He is the one who's the ultimate source of everything. He's the ultimate source of everything. He has created you. He was there in the beginning. He's there in the middle. He's going to be there at the end, even after destruction. Then, okay, give me more details about him. Oh, he's beautiful person. He has a lovely form. You know what? He has a great existence. He exists beyond this material world. He has his own transcendental Vaikuntha planets where he is existing. It's not that I have a nice home and I exist in this material world while Krishna has nothing, right? He also has this beautiful transcendental spiritual world, where he's existing. And whether this material world is going to be created, annihilated, or destroyed, Krishna is going to continue to exist in the spiritual world. Okay, fine. Is Vaikuntha all static? Is something happening there? Prabhupada says, yes, there is so much activity going on there. Right? There is continuous activity. There are so many pastimes. And just because you cannot see it, it doesn't mean that nothing is happening there. And then the discussion comes, okay, but from my perspective, I just know this material creation and I know somehow somebody created it. So I think that is God. Yes, that is great. He is God. It is Mahavishnu who has created this. But then there is somebody who's beyond that, who's Purushottama, who's enjoying in the spiritual world. He is like the king who's giving directions to all his ministers and everything is getting executed. So this is the personal feature of the Lord. The Lord has a beautiful personal form. So we should not try to negate the form of the Lord, or we should not think that we have become God and so on. If we have such an attitude, that is actually the last snare of Maya. So basically, only the Lord existed in the beginning, and He's the source of everything. And He's telling us with all certainty to His dear devotees, He's revealing the Sambandha Gyan to Brahma. And through Brahma, in disciplic succession, we should also acquire the Sambandha Gyan. And we should be very clear, there is only one God, right? Sometimes raised in the Indian families, we tend to think there are so many gods. Everybody is God. This is God. That is God. Then we see so many different temples, so many different demigods. Oh, they are all equal. They are all God. Fine, we are trying to give an equal thought to everything, but that is not the ultimate truth. The ultimate truth is God is one, and the rest of them are like his bodily parts. He is the root of all existence. That is establishing Sambandha. Okay. So with that, we'll stop here. But I know this chaturshloki discussion doesn't end like that. Every verse we can talk for 20 days, 40 days. But we'll stop here today and we will see what we can do in the next session. Probably we'll go to the next chaturshloki verse. Okay, any questions? Whoever wants to log out, please log out. We are already 10 minutes late. Praladananda Prabhu, please add Prabhuji.
I don't have a question, but a little realization here
Yes,
regarding
yes.
the relationship Prabhupada mentions about this in the 4th chapter, 3rd slok Bhagavad Gita. He says, Sa evayam maya tyadya yoga prukta puratana bhakto sami sakha cheti rahasyam hetad uttamam. What is that
Yes.
supreme mystery? He says that the very ancient science of the relationship
Yeah.
with the supreme is told.
Bhaktosi, yes.
Bhaktosi. So the real gist, what I understood is, and I also come across so many impersonally. If you read Prabhupada Maharaj or any other, Gaudiya, then you cannot be convinced otherwise.
Right.
You always become a stern, very stubborn, become very, that Bhagavan Krishna is the ultimate. And Radha Govind Swami says that Prabhupada Saraswati, he was previously an impersonalist. And then
he was,
he
yeah.
converted into like that. Then he asked, somebody said, why one Brahma has to teach another Brahma? He was giving lecture. That's where he said like that, no, this is a true question. And that's how he became Bhagavan Krishna's devotee later on. That's what I heard. So I just wanted to share that little matter for our benefit.
Very well.
Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Very nice, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
And Mataji, what was that Madhya Leela you were telling? What reference was that?
It is Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela. 2.5, if I'm not wrong. Just give me a second. I'll pull it up. It is 2.5.102, Prabhu.
2.5 point?
I can open it up and show you.
Yeah, okay. So I tried to find that.
Coming to 5 and 102. 1 second. Yeah.
Madhya Leela.
Oh, Madhya Leela. 25, sorry. I am so sorry. I'm not able to
Yeah, I
see
was trying to find
properly.
Okay. So it's at 25.
25.102. Okay. 25. Madhya Leela, chapter 25, verse 102. Yeah.
What?
Bhagavati Rasambandha. I'll share. Sorry, I'm not sharing only. Yeah. So 2.5. Here, Prabhu, you can see now. Madhya Leela 25.102. Bhagavatera Sambandha Abhideya Prayojana Chaturshloki Te Prakata Tara Kari Yache Lakshana. So the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam, Sambandha Abhideya Prayojana, is manifest in the 4 verses of the Chaturshloki Bhagavatam.
Okay, thank you, Mata.
Yeah, very well. Yes, Sunil Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Mataji Dandatna. Thank you so much, Mataji, for so beautiful class. And this chaturshloki is very important, Mataji. It comes in our Chaitanya Charitamrita also. Even in Chaitanya Mangal, that Lord Hamsa is giving these seats to Brahmaji. So just wanted to know, like when these two pastimes are different, right? So first he gives Brahmaji, and then afterwards he gives Swan Avatar, come Hamsa Avatar, then he gives, right?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, that's right. Thank you for bringing that connection. Somehow I didn't even think of it, but thank you for bringing that up in class. Haribol. Okay, so then we can end the call here and we can meet on today's Thursday next week. Okay. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Wonderful class. Thank you very much.
You all